Today's reading comes from Psalm 63, a psalm of David when he was in the desert. You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you. In a dry and parched land where there is no water. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips my mouth will praise you. On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your right hand upholds me. May our hearts and minds be enriched by this reading.
We will recall in body, mind, and spirit that we are loved by God no matter what. And in that moment of recalling God's constant, never-failing, and complete love, that will move us to act in love, with love, and because of love. I doubt the song that I chose this morning will ever be heard in an elevator or a grocery store. But the words and music of Cris Williamson's Waterfall bring me to a place where I connect to the unending and power-filled love and peace and presence of God. When I hear that song, I know that I am loved, just as I am, no matter what. No matter what I am going through, no matter where I am, God's love is filling up and spilling over. It just can't be contained. The passage that Tom read this morning from the Psalms begins with the author, quite possibly David, crying out to God from whom he feels distant and disconnected. As theologian Dr. Samuel Roberts puts it, one doesn't just cry out to God with such longing without having experienced the presence and power of God. This type of relationship is full of longing and support, a relationship of memories shared. We don't know what was going on in the psalmist's life at the time that he expressed these words, but whatever it was that the psalmist experienced, loss, disappointment, heartache, struggles, they are situations we've probably gone through, are going through, or will go through. Without uncertainty, the author longed to reconnect with God in order to make it through, to find relief, to re-engage with the fullness of life and living, a life he once knew. Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything's going to be all right. The opening line of Cris Williamson's Waterfall. This was on her 1975 album. No, I did not have this album as a child. I was still listening to the plastic records on the little player. The album came out on Olivia Records, which was a women's indie label founded in the late 60s. But I came across this song in the early 90s via a music junkie friend, and I am so glad that this album, and particularly this song, found me. I've always heard this song and felt as though it was an anthem for embracing life in all its fullness, even and especially during those times when my life may not be going the way that I had intended or expected or wanted it to. This song also speaks to me about the importance of community, that we don't go through life alone. The waterfall is not just falling over me, but it is filling up and spilling over all. In my mind's eye, I've envisioned this as folks being under and around and in the waterfall, drinking in life. Over the years, I've closed my eyes and breathed in this song as I've wandered through times that were painful and trying and difficult. Similarly, I've also closed my eyes and breathed in this song when life is overflowing with goodness and joy and love. Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything is going to be all right. It is here where we may be able to relate to the psalmist who comes to God admitting that life is not going well, and God, you seem so far away, that he is going through a really tough stint in his life. And in the midst of those troubles and difficulties, the psalmist longs for God's presence and refreshment. The psalmist recalls past connections and awareness of God's presence. But right now, he's not feeling it. God's known and near presence is needed. I don't think this is the psalmist's first rodeo with these feelings either. The psalmist knows God will provide and that God will be there. He looks back and remembers this in order to move forward. Cris Williamson puts it like this: when you open up your life to the living, all things come spilling in on you, and you're flowing like the river, the changer and the change. You've got to spill some over. The changer and the changed. The name of the album, also just a few of my favorite words in that song that I like to pull out occasionally and put it in my own context while I'm journaling. But anyway, the changer and the change, as people of faith, as people who have experienced the wonder, the power, and the beauty of change through the person of Christ, I just can't help but think that when we hear those words in the lyrics, that we think of God, the changer, and ourselves and the world as the changed. When we allow the Spirit of God that is within and around all of us to move, there is hope for tomorrow. There is change, and there will be change to come. This waterfall, it's not contained. It's not a pretty pond we can just dip our toes in, or a refreshing renewal that we can bottle and keep. There is power, there is beauty, and there is peace in a waterfall. Be it a grand waterfall on the banks of New York up against Canada, or a small nearby spillway. The waterfall moves and impacts all that is around: the land, rocks, sediment, and wildlife. And the water impacts anyone standing off to the side, observing its power, feeling the mist, and taking in the beauty of it all. Cris sings, "You've got to spill some over overall." The refreshing, powerful, life-giving, and life-changing waterfall spills out all around, just like the Spirit of God that is within and around and cannot be contained. This is the story of our faith, from Genesis all the way through the Scriptures. The Spirit of God moving within people and communities, and change arises, love prevails, and wholeness in body, mind, and spirit come to life. And the cycle continues. This is the story of our faith, right here and right now. We need to be attentive, to be aware of the presence of God within and around, be it through a song sung, a word said, or a kind gesture that brings love. Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything is going to be all right. Like the psalmist, may you recall the times in the past when God's presence was known and felt and provided a better way. May you look back and remember the love and peace of God spilling over and bringing peace of mind and a love that overflows. And I ask you, What do the first few stanzas of your prayer or song say when it feels as though life has been giving you a raw deal? When the one you love has left, when your health is declining, and when peace of mind is an all-consuming desire? What are the words that bring that needed peace of mind and realization of the love of God that is within and all around to be filling up and spilling over? May you know the waterfall. May the waterfall rush over you, and there may you find the peace and presence of God. Amen.